So, the robot game in a nutshell, teams will need to code a Lego education robot. So have you all done the Spike Prime session today? Excellent. So literally similar kind of thing, similar robot. Teams will program their robot to autonomously complete themed missions on the mat over there. They have 3 robot games. Each game is 2.5 minutes. And normally what will happen is they'll have a game, they'll have a practice session, then they may go into their judging session, then they'll have another game. And then, how many games is that? 2. And then they'll have a final game as well. So for each, say we have 3 games. For the first score, they score 120. Second game, they score 150. Third game, they score 110. The highest score of the 150 would be the one that counts as their overall robot performance score. The state of the table at the end of the game is when we score. So once the 2.5 minutes has finished and the robots have finished doing their missions, the referees or you guys will then come to the table and score the game with the team together. So the highest scoring round will count, and teams are also scored for their gracious professionalism, which counts towards their core values. So I don't know if this has been touched on in your judging session. Has it? Yeah. Didn't have enough time. That's fine. So basically, gracious professionalism is how the teams interact with each other at the table and with you guys as referees at the table. So there's 3 different scores. We have a 2, which is developing, a 3, which is pretty much normal, they're good, and a 4 for anybody that's outstanding and showed really great gracious professionalism. So a 4 would be, for example, if a team came along, they shook hands with the other team, they asked them what missions they were going to do, they came along. Some teams might even bring little badges and things for the referees and stuff like that. So that would be classed as a 4 for gracious professionalism. A 2 would kind of be the opposite. So say you had a team that come in, maybe the team have had a bit of a falling out, they're not talking to each other, they're not engaging with the referees. We've seen it plenty of times before. So that would obviously count as, would be a 2. The score for gracious professionalism is counted on the end of the score sheet as well. So that's all done at the end. So you'll need to observe the team, not just when they first come up, how they interact throughout the game as well. I've had the worst instance I think I've had is a team's robot just completely shut down and the other team just started laughing at them, which is terrible, and I felt like crying for them. But yeah, so we don't have many of them, but it's quite a heated day, tensions are high, so just making sure that you're keeping an eye on how people are reacting. The structure of the robot game, so teams will come to the table, they'll bring all of their pieces, all of their equipment, they'll get set up, and then they'll check that they're happy with the table. So we've got 2 tables here today. This means that in this setting, 2 teams will go head to head and do their game at the same time. At the final, we have 12 robot games all going ahead at the same time, so it may vary depending on the regional tournament that you support or if you come to the final too. So once the team is happy with their table, the referee will have a flag or hold their hand up to say that table is ready. Once both or all the tables have got their referee's hands up, the game will start. The referee will need to check that the robot is legal. Now what this means is that they have 1 controller for their robot, they have a maximum of 4 motors, and their sensors that they use are only touch, force, colour, distance, and gyro sensors. Now, that is a lot there for you guys to recognise. It is pretty much just a visual check. So if they've got 2 robots, you'll obviously see 2 robots, and you'll just have to say you can only use 1, choose which one. The sensors and the motors are a little bit harder to detect, but the main way that you'll see is if it's a massive robot and it's got loads on it, then you're going to think, oh, hang on a minute, not sure about that. But normally all the robots, because the teams know this as well, coming into refereeing, so they should follow the guidelines, but it's just something just to keep an eye out for. The referee will check that all the equipment fits into the 2 launch areas, and when we go through the table, I'll explain all these terms and what launch areas mean. The game is carried out. The referees then complete the score sheet with the team and check that they're happy and nothing has been missed on the score sheet. The team will then leave, and then you guys as referees will then reset the table ready for the next mission. So your role as a referee, you'll obviously score and judge on the gracious professionalism. You'll have to reset the table, so it's vital if you are going to be a ref that you learn how the missions start. I'll talk you through them today, and then we have some multiple videos online as well to talk you through each mission. You may find that teams are a little bit nervous, especially if it's their first time, if it's a national final, for example. It's very, very different from a regional tournament. So you may find that the team's a little bit shy, not quite sure how to do things, might just not have any idea. It might be their first time they've even come up to a robot game table. So just make sure you've got positive reinforcement and encouraging them to do their best. We've had it before where a team will just program to do one mission and then the other team is doing so many, and then you can see in their faces they're a bit like, oh, like we haven't done it. So just encourage them, you've got 3 robot games, have a go at another mission and your next round and things like that. And as I mentioned, the head referee gets the final say. So you will find that teams will try and get as many points as they can, and if they disagree with your decision, they will let you know. So if there are any issues around the scoring, then the head referee's decision is final. But in the normal instance, we always give benefit of doubt to the team if in doubt. So when we go through the missions later, I'll explain there's a couple that are a little bit unclear. So again, in that instance, you would give them benefit of the doubt. So the basic principles, so I'll run through this slide and then we'll go over to the table because I think it'll make more sense when I go to it over there. But the basic principles are the teams can launch from either of the launch areas, so I'll go through what that actually means on the table. The robots must be completely or partly in from the outer edge of the black line from a bird's eye view. Each team starts with 6 precision tokens, so they're little red tokens. They do carry points, and the teams should aim not to interrupt the robot once it has launched. If they touch their robot any side out of these launch areas, they will lose a precision token. So they start with 6. Their first one is a free token. It doesn't have any points. And then if they start to pick it up after that, then they start to lose points. So I'll explain what they look like and what they are when we go to the table. But the robot can leave the launch area as many times as the team decides, so they don't have to do one mission and then come back and then do the next one. They can do multiple missions at any time, and they can come back to either of the launch areas that they want to. But the robot has to be completely in home before being picked up and launched again. And then finally, the robot and its attachments cannot be holding or supporting any of the scoring missions at the end of the match unless it says in the rules that that is acceptable. Okay, so any questions at this point? No? Brilliant. So for those of you at home, we are going to go to a video that me and Liv filmed earlier. So it goes through the robot games and the missions and the scores. So have a look at that one. Hey Liv, I've got my robot game rulebook, I've got my robot and my masterpiece creation.
Perfect. So all that's left to do is have a quick run through of the robot game table here,
Sure.
so that you're ready for your regional tournament.
Awesome.
But also what's really exciting is we've got some people at home watching us today. So we're going to stand on this side of the map, whereas on a normal day you would be stood on that side. Okay, so when you bring your art piece to the table and your robot, you want to get set up in your launch areas, which are these corners on either side of the map. So with your robot, all your robot and your equipment has to fit in both of these areas. But if you can fit your robot in one of those areas, you will get bonus points.
Awesome, so extra points already.
Amazing, that's what we want. Then you've got your art piece, so that can stay in home for now.
Yep.
And before the game also starts, you'll notice that there are some extra people on the sides of the mat. So we've got our little orange figures over here. These are called the audience members. These need to be distributed at the start of the game on either side of the mat, so they can start either on the left side or the right side.
Got it.
You'll also notice on this side of the map, we've got Anna, the museum creator, who's an expert in a creative field, of course, and they can start on either side of the map. So both Anna and the audience members need to be distributed before the start of the game.
Can the audience members and Anna be on the same side, or can they be on different sides?
They can be wherever they want to be.
Got it.
And the team decides this as well. So,
the team.
Yeah, they will distribute.
You guys.
Yeah, you guys at home, you get to decide which side they are distributed on. You also notice on this side we've got a pedestal, which is that little platform by the audience members. So what we're going to do for now, we'll leave that there with your art piece, and we'll come back to that when we're running through the missions. Okay, so do you want to pop your robot in the launch area? As if you were ready to start your robot game.
So let's go. Let's start here, I think.
Okay, so we'll go around the mat and have a look at all the missions, but you can attempt these in any order, so don't feel like you have to do it in the way that I'm saying.
Got it.
Right, so the first mission, which is here, is called 3D Cinema. And it's got a nice little dragon on the front, which we like. Okay, so if you want to do the honours, and if you use the orange activators, which you'll notice on a lot of missions are the activating points for how to use them.
Sure.
If you push it down, The dragon will be released.
Yay.
And you'll notice that the little red lever in the middle will turn downwards.
Perfect.
Okay, coming along to mission 2, which is this one next to you.
Yep.
And this is called Theatre Scene Change, which is also the guided mission for this year, so you might be familiar with it if you're planning to attempt that at your tournament. You'll notice on the carousel, there's 3 different colour balls. So we've got blue, pink and yellow.
Yep.
Now these are referred to as different active scenes, so each colour is an active scene. The idea is that you want to use this orange activator to change the active scene to a different colour. And each colour is worth different points, which is really exciting, and you can find more about the points in the guide in your Robot Game rulebook. You'll also want to make sure that this red flag on this side is down in order for you to be able to score those points.
Right.
So it's to make sure that your robot also knocks that down.
So for this one, there's actually 2 points. So you've got the red flag, and then you've also got to change the scenery too.
Yes, exactly. But also, don't forget, if the team on the other side competing on their mats also change their active scene to match your colour, you get extra points for that as well.
Ah, so that's a tip to remember when you're thinking about
Don't
robot
forget that
games.
one. If we then move along to here, we've got the one called Immersive Experience.
Yep.
Which is a really cool one. The idea for this one is that you want to raise all 3 of the screens up. So do you want to have a little go at the lever?
Okay, so I can see that the lever is very similar to the ones that we've already gone through.
Yep.
So I'm assuming it's here.
Yep, so if you just push it down and you'll notice that all 3 screens raise up.
Lovely.
And you want them to be stood up at the end of the game and no equipment can be supporting that to hold it up.
So all freestanding on its own.
Perfect. Okay, if we then come over to this one here, this one is called Augmented Reality Statue. Now the idea for this one is, as you can see, it is already open, so I was having a little test of it before you came along, but it will start like this with the flower closed.
Right.
So what you want to do is rotate the orange lever all the way around to the right.
Got
so
it.
it opens up. Moving along to this mission here, this is called Music, Concert, Lights and Sound. So there's a few things to do when you come to this mission.
Yep.
The first thing you want to do is rotate this orange lever all the way around to the left. The next thing you want to do is also turn this lever here to turn on the lights. There's also an extra mission within this model.
Let me guess. This mission has something to do with the pink minifigure here.
That's a really good guess, well done. The idea is that you want to turn this pink hologram
Yep.
all the way around by pushing this orange lever here, like that.
Nice.
So they're nice and ready for their show.
Looking good. So they've got their music, they've got their lights, and they're ready to perform.
Amazing. That's all we
Love
need.
it.
Perfect. So moving around to the other end of the map,
Yep.
we've then got a really fun mission called Rolling Camera.
Well, this one looks cool.
The camera one's really interesting actually because there's a few ways you can approach it.
Okay.
As normal, we have got an orange lever here that
Yeah.
can be used to move the camera.
Ooh.
But of course, if you've built your robot a way that it can move the camera itself,
Yep.
you can also do that.
So that's like having an attachment on your robot that
Perfect.
could maybe push it through.
Yes, exactly.
Learning.
So the idea of the camera is that there's different colour markers along the track.
Yep.
Now you can score different points based on where the camera lands on each side of the colour.
Okay.
There is a dark blue square here.
Yep.
There is under the camera here another dark blue square and then a light blue square here. Also, there's another part to this, not
Okay.
finished yet. Underneath this orange lever here
Yeah.
is a very pale blue square.
I can see it.
So what you want to try to do is get the camera all the way along past that one.
Ah, so there's like 2 parts to this mission.
Yes,
Got
so
it.
you can attempt it however you want.
So, question.
Yeah.
What would, obviously I can see here that there's a little white arrow.
Yeah.
What happens if the arrow is sitting between one of the squared coloured tiles?
It's a really good question. So the white arrow is what determines where you fall on either side of the colours.
Yep.
If the white pointer lands on a colour,
Yeah.
it scores the higher score of the area that it's in.
So, in theory, it's a lot harder, but what you want to try and do is get that pointer onto a coloured tile.
If it's in one of the high
If
scoring
it's
areas.
in a high score area.
Yeah.
So remember that at home, guys.
Okay, so the next mission is called Movie Set.
Ooh.
And it's quite close to the last one.
Yeah.
And it's this boat here with the camera attached.
Ooh,
on the string.
nice.
It's a really cool one. It's one of my absolute favourites. on the
It
map.
does look pretty cool.
It is a nice one. So what you want to do is pull the boat all the way across this black line on the map. Once it's then completely past that black line,
Yep.
that's points.
Right.
But you can also score extra points by leaving the camera in this camera target area here.
Ah, so again, it's multiple points up for grab with this mission.
Yes, there's multiple ways you can score.
Yep.
Again, you don't have to attempt both parts, but if you want to, amazing.
Awesome. Got it. Sounds good.
It's a good job you mentioned sound there actually, because the next mission we're going to is called Sound Mixer, which is this one here. The idea of Sound Mixer is that you want to raise the levers upwards.
Aha.
Each lever is worth points. I believe
Right.
it's 5 points each. So the more you can raise,
The more points.
Perfect. But there's a bit of a trick to this one, because if you raise the levers up in a certain way, they all fall back down.
Oh.
So you need to work out the combination to get them all raised up at the same time without falling back down.
So for this one, you need to use a bit of strategy.
A bit of strategy, and also remember that you can't leave any equipment there to prop them up at the end.
Right, so everything has to be freestanding at the end of the game.
Yes, for all the missions except one, but we'll get back to that at the end. If that's okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is a really cool one that I like as well. This cool model in the middle.
Oh, it does look really cool.
It's a good one, isn't it? This one is called Light Show, which is a really cool one as well. So the idea of this is that you want to move this lever upwards. And as you'll notice on the sides, there's 3 different colour areas. We've got the yellow, we've got the blue, and we've got the green.
Got it.
Now, again, similar to other missions, there's different points for each colour on the model. So you want to work out which colour you want to finish on and finish the lever there.
Okay, got it. So, question again.
Perfect.
What
Fire
would
away.
happen if the little white pointer...
Just use this one to reset it.
Oh, there we go.
That's okay.
So what if it was between the yellow and the blue, for example? How would you go about scoring that one?
Okay, so that is a possibility. So if it does end where it's between 2 colours, you do get the higher points and the higher scoring colour. So moving along to here, you'll notice we've got 2 models, which are actually 2 separate missions.
Okay.
So first, we're going to look at this mission model here, which is called Virtual Reality Artist.
Virtual Reality Artist.
Do you know how you can remember this one? Which is really exciting, and I'm not sure if you've noticed yet.
Maybe.
We've got the return of the famous first Lego League chicken.
Now the chicken is a little bit smaller than we've had
tiny
before.
bit, yeah.
But it has made a comeback, which I'm very excited about.
But the idea is that you want to move the chicken from its starting point using this orange activator. So if you do it that way, now this one is quite tricky.
Okay.
It takes a few moves, but you can get points for just moving it off of its starting position.
Okay.
Now, one thing you need to remember when you're attempting this is that the chicken needs to be intact at the end.
Okay.
So it needs to be attached and how you found it.
Got it. So you could take the chicken off and plop the chicken back on.
If your robot's really clever, yeah.
As long as the chicken is intact and is exactly how you found it at the beginning.
Perfect.
Got it. Okay.
Now, there's another part to this.
Right.
Of course. And this is another way you can score some extra points.
Ah.
So if you continue to move the chicken,
Yep.
like this, now for quickness, we'll just quickly turn it around. You'll see there's a lavender dot on this side of the model.
Yep.
Now, if you can get it partly or completely over that dot, what does that mean?
Extra point.
And that's what we want. Moving on to the last physical mission.
Okay.
This one here is called Craft Creator. Yeah, there's 2 parts again to this one.
Yep.
Standard. So the first thing that you want to do is use this orange lever here to open the lid completely.
Got it.
Now you'll notice inside there's some nice little masterpiece tiles.
They look pretty cool.
They are cool. It's a very cool logo this year.
Yeah.
So what we then want to do is on the other side there's another orange activator.
Okay.
If you push that the whole way through,
Yep.
then you'll also notice there's a little pink lever on this side.
Yep. So that's just pulled through. I can see that.
Perfect. So as long as that pointer is facing downwards and it's pushed through,
Points.
points.
Got
which
it.
is perfect. Okay, so that's it for all the missions that are attached to the map.
Okay.
But there are some others that you can attempt, so don't forget about these.
Right.
So can you remember earlier that we spoke about the little orange figures that are in your home area? What you want to be able to do is deliver these to different target destinations around the area.
Okay.
So the audience members have 7 different target destinations around the map.
Right.
1 here, 1 here, 1 here,
Yep.
1 here,
So that's 4.
yep, number 5 here,
Yep.
number 6,
Got it.
and number 7 over here.
Ah, okay. So this one's hidden at the minute by the boat.
Hidden by the boat, but it's there.
Got it.
So within this mission, you will score in 2 different ways.
Got it.
So first you'll score for the number of audience members you deliver to different target destinations, but you'll also score for the number of different destinations that you do deliver to. So just a quick example, if you were to deliver 2 audience members to the museum,
Yep.
you would get 2 lots of 5 points for the audience members,
Yep.
and 1 lot of 5 points for the museum itself, because
that's-
that is a destination. But the more destinations you can hit and the more members you can deliver, more points. Now, just to note, there is also an error in the Robot Game Rulebook, in the score sheet in the back. It does say 10 points for the different destinations,
Right.
but it is 5 points, and this
Okay.
has been corrected. Moving on to your masterpiece that you have
yes.
built over here. I can see you put in some really hard
Oh,
work
I
there.
have indeed. It's taken me a lot of time to build this.
I can tell. And I can't wait to see all the other amazing art pieces that you guys at home come up with this season. And this mission is called Masterpiece as well. Very relevant. So you want to grab that along with your pedestal.
Oh,
Now I say grab that, but your robot will be moving.
yes,
this.
of course, yeah.
And you want to be able to deliver your art piece to be at least partly in the museum area. Now the key word here is partly, so it doesn't have to be completely in.
Yep,
However, so that is one lot of points,
yep.
but you can score extra points if you deliver. Can I borrow your art piece?
Of course.
I'll look after it. So if you can also get the pedestal
Yeah.
to the museum area and get the art piece on top completely supported by the pedestal,
Okay.
you can score extra points for that as well.
So when you say completely supported,
Yeah.
does that mean that I could use a Lego piece to clip my masterpiece creation onto the pedestal and then move it that way?
It is a great idea, but unfortunately not. You have
Damn
to be
it.
able to remove the art piece without any restrictions.
So it has to be freestanding.
Freestanding, but can be supported by the pedestal.
Got it, okay.
So the last mission we haven't spoken about yet is the expert delivery.
Right.
So you might have noticed already around the map.
The little people in their little circles?
Yes, so they do
Yes.
have names which you can learn in the guide. If you
Oh,
want.
excellent.
I know, for example, we've got Izzy the skateboarder over here.
Yep.
And we've also got Sam, stage manager. But there's different experts placed around the map, as well as your museum curator that you placed at the start of the game.
Yep.
These need to be delivered to their target destinations.
Okay.
So it's similar to the audience member one,
Yep.
but there's only 5 destinations within this because there's 5 people.
Got it.
So for this mission, the 5 destinations are the skate park,
Yep.
the cinema,
Got it.
the museum,
Yep.
the music concert,
Number 4.
and number 5, the movie set, again under the boat at the moment.
Awesome. Got it.
So if you can deliver these experts to their fields,
Yep.
points. And you don't have to do all of them, you can do just a few,
Okay.
but you've got lots of different options.
Do you have to get the relevant person into the correct destination, or can they be in any destination on the map?
No, so they have to be delivered to their target destination
Got it.
for their creative field of work. If you're unsure about any of their jobs or where they need to be delivered to, just
Yep.
double check the robot game rulebook
Got it.
and it will
Okay.
tell you in there.
Awesome. Thank you.
So that's all of the missions on the table that you can attempt.
Perfect.
But there's one more important thing to remember,
Yep.
which is these little red tokens here, which I'm sure you're familiar with by now.
Yes, the precision tokens.
Precision tokens indeed. So as usual, you'll start with 6 precision tokens on the table.
Yep.
Now this is automatic points for you because you start with 50 points with 6. However, as you know, you can't interrupt your robot once it's left the launch area.
So that means interrupting is basically anytime you touch the robot if it's outside of the 2 semicircles, right?
Exactly.
Got
yes. If you do need to interrupt your robot, unfortunately, you will lose a token. The first one is free, and then after that, they do go down in points once you start to lose a few more. So you do want to think about your mission strategy when you're losing those tokens.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong if you want to approach it that way.
Yeah.
You can do it, but just remember that this is also points.
Got it. So it's trying to find the balance, isn't it, with your precision tokens and the missions that you're doing on the map to try and score as many points as possible in your robot game.
Exactly, and there's no correct way to approach it. You approach it however you want. That's everything on the table. So you can now go away, have a little practice, last bit of coding before your regional tournament.
Awesome. Now, before I go, I have had a couple of questions from our teams and hosts and wondered if you wouldn't mind just answering them really quickly for me.
Of course.
Okay, first question. How many team members are allowed at the table at once?
Okay, so you can have up to 4 members at the table, but you do need to split into 2 groups. So decide the group before the game starts, and then that's your group and your side that you stay in for the rest of the game.
Okay, the second question is how many attempts at the game will I get?
Okay, so on the day of your regional tournament, you will get free 2.5-minute robot games.
Okay, does each of my robot game scores count?
So the good thing about having free robot games is that not all of the scores count. Only your highest score will go towards the leaderboard at the end of the regional tournament.
Perfect. And you mentioned earlier that the missions can't be supported by equipment at the end of the game when scoring points.
Yeah.
But there was one exception to this rule. Can you remember what it was?
Yes, so the one exception to this rule is Craft Creator. So this can be supported at the end of the match by the equipment.
Okay.
And this is an update that was released by First, so
Brilliant. And does it specify what it can be supported by, or is it just any Lego piece?
just your equipment, so anything that comes with you to the table
Yep.
and leaves with the robot.
Brilliant. And then the final question I have is, can I bring any notes to the table with me?
Okay, so you can have some notes at the table, whether that's to help you with your coding and the order of it, just to remember, but you can only have 1 sheet of notebook paper.
Got it. So one sheet does plenty.
Exactly.
Great, thanks Liv. That's all the questions that we have today.
Amazing. So what I'd recommend now is firstly, don't forget your robot.
Yep.
But to go away, double check the Robot Game rulebook and make sure you're clear on what's expected of you for each mission and how you want to approach this at your event.
Awesome.
Also, don't forget that whilst you would have received a physical copy of the Robot Game rulebook with your kit registration, you can also get a digital copy of this on our team resources page, which we'll link at the end of this video. If you do also want to just make sure that you're familiar with the point breakdown of each mission, don't forget that First have released a points video that you can also access online.
Brilliant. I think that's it from us, other than 3, 2,
2,
1, Lego!